What's up, everyone? It is Nord97 here, and we are back for another YouTube video. And today, we have a special guest joining us. Definitely didn't burp there. So, we have an Arizona Coyotes fan here with us to discuss the future. I will be discussing basically the regular season and this season for the Arizona Coyotes. This guy will be discussing the future. If you know him, he is Matt, aka AZ Sports Guy. Pretty good guy. I've known him for about, I think, 2 years. We're going on 2 years now. Matt can correct me on that. But, yeah, let's get into it. So first off, let's review the regular season for the Arizona Coyotes. They played 56 games played, just like every other team. They finished with a 24, 26, and 6 record for a total of 54 points. They had a 153 goals for, 176 goals against. They had a 4.82 winning percentage. I think the highest was like 526 during the season, so yeah. They were minus 23 in differential, and they were 12, 12, and 4 at home, and 12, 14, and 2 on the road. So basically, kind of an average Arizona Coyotes season. They aren't terrible, but they aren't good. They're the most 500 team in the NHL. And you know what? For the past year that I've been watching them, you know what? A 24-26 record, it honestly really doesn't surprise me. Your skating leaders for the Arizona Coyotes, Phil Kessel, took the lead this season, had a much bigger step up with the Coyotes organization this season with 20 goals, 23 assists for 43 points. He led the Coyotes in every aspect, if I'm not mistaken, except for assists. But, yeah, he played fairly well this season, and I would expect him to have a big role next season as well. Defenseman JAKOB CHYCHUN. Now, there was a lot of conversation of, does he win the Norris? Does he become a finalist? Look, he had a great season, but I don't really know. 18 goals, 23 assists for 41 points. 18 goals, leads all defensemen in goals. Still didn't get nominated, but you know what? He's in Arizona. No one talks about him, so yeah. Underrated defenseman. Third place is GARLAND, who looks like an even bigger piece for this team. 12 goals, 27 assists for 39 points. He wasn't a shortened season, so it was a little bit different. And then KELLER was fourth with 14 goals, 21 assists for 35 points. I would expect Keller with his big-ass contract to take a pretty big step up in the next season, especially if he's getting put on lines with a lot of good players. And then he got Nick SCHMALTZ, who was fifth place, with 10 goals, 22 assists for 32 points. So yeah, Kessel, CHYCHUN, GARLAND, Keller, and SCHMALTZ are your top 5 scorers. You know what? I think that was pretty much last season's top 5 goal scorers as well. So glad we're repeating last season where we got obliterated by the Avalanche in the first round. Your rookies for the Arizona Coyotes. There really wasn't that many that I could put in here as important. There was Jordan Gross. There was Lane Peterson. There was Jan Jenik, who played good off paper. They were getting the opportunities, getting the shots, skating well, doing everything they need to do. But really the only player that I would say played well enough that really deserved himself to be in the rookie column is Michael Bunting, with 10 goals, 3 assists for 13 points. Bunting, if he can carry what he had this season into next season, we could really argue him as a piece to this future for the Coyotes. And I think, you know what? This man could be a 20, 25 goal scorer in the future. Matt gets into that later, but you know what I mean. So your goaltenders. Goaltender Darcy KUEMPER with 27 games played, 10 wins, 11 losses, 3 overtimes, a 2.56 goals against average, and a .907 save percentage. Adin Hill was up next with 19 games played, 9-9-1. I'd argue he's probably your best goalie, with a 2.74 goals against average. And then RAANTA was your third guy with 12 games played, 5-5-2, with a 3.36 goals against average. And notice how, despite having 500, or even with Kemper's case, a losing record, and you all have above 900 save percentages. You love to see that. You really do love to see that. So that's good. That's indeed good. So I think for the future the Coyotes want to keep Adin Hill and Darcy Kuemper around. They're gonna let ANTTI RAANTA walk, obviously. But hey, the future isn't up to me. I just recapped your season for you, basically. Just another average 500 season because that's what they do every year. But anyways, I'm going to leave it over to Matt, and he's going to talk to you about the future for the Arizona Coyotes.
Guys, AZ Sports Guy here, and I just want to thank Nordic for inviting me onto his channel. TLDR, I'm going to be talking about the Coyotes' expiring contracts, who I would personally re-sign, and then a couple of free agents that I would go after. I have 4 that I want to list, but at least 2 of them are the ones I would really be going after. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So all the expired contracts right now: Derek Brassard, Connor Garland, John Hayden, Hudson Fasching, Alex Goligoski, Nicholas Yarmelson, Jason Demers, Jordan Osterley, ANTTI RAANTA, Adin Hill, Dryden Hunt, Michael Chaput, Jordan Gross, Braden Burke, Lane Peterson, Michael Bunting, Blake Spears, Cam Dineen, and Dyson Mayo. I know it's a lot to talk about, but I had to go ahead and throw all those out there. Here are the ones that I would personally re-sign. Connor Garland, of course, he was your leading scorer a couple of years ago. He's still part of the top 5 in scoring. If you could just get him with the right center or get another Taylor Hall-esque player to play on the wing with him, he'll be a 20-goal scorer again. Then again, he was pretty much going to be a 20-goal scorer if he would have had a full 82-game season, so I'm not really worried about that. I would keep him. I would try to get about a 5-year contract, but I have no idea what they're going to want to do with him, so I'll just go ahead and say 5 years, try to get around $5 million a year, somewhere in there, maybe a little bit higher. Anyway, then you have Adin Hill. Adin Hill has shown he's going to be a consistent NHL level second goaltender, your backup goaltender. I would try to get him for about a 3-year contract. He's probably going to get somewhere around 2.5, maybe a little higher, but I think 2.5 should be a pretty good number for him. Then we talk about Dryden Hunt. Dryden Hunt is a very good two-way player. On top of that, in your bottom 6, I wouldn't want him here for much more than, let's say, 2 more years, maybe about $1 million, somewhere a little bit, less than that. You got to keep him around, got to have extra skaters. I like his game. I like how he played. Keep him in the bottom 6, nothing wrong with that. Then you have Michael Chaput. I did like him as a 4th-line center. Honestly, now I'm starting to reconsider re-signing him or not. He's just kind of okay, but if I were to, I'd do a year. I'd try to go around $925,000 a year, maybe somewhere in there. Then you have Jordan Gross. Jordan Gross, even though he did end up getting hurt, you're going to need someone to be your 3rd pair. I thought he brought a little bit of offensive upside there. I'd maybe try a 2-year bridge deal just to see if he ends up developing any injury issues, but I still think you should get some good value there. Maybe 1.5 a year over 2 years, I would probably do. Then you have Lane Peterson. Lane Peterson, I think, showed right there about the 3rd-line center. Maybe you can put him somewhere in the middle 6, depending on what you're looking for that particular night. I'd probably go about 3 years. I'd probably give him about 1.5. I think he'd probably take that because that's still a significant raise, so not a whole lot else to say on that one. And then finally, Michael Bunting. Michael Bunting, give him whatever money he wants. He's a finisher. He's a scorer. You can have him play with Connor Garland, see what that can do for an entire year because they did play together in the AHL. You can even have Garland, Bunting, and Peterson be your line, maybe your 2nd line. Maybe you mess around with that in the 3rd line, depending on what you're specifically looking for. Obviously, you want Connor Garland to stay in the top 6, but if you end up getting some good chemistry, maybe that does step up to be your 2nd line. I would want him. I know this might be jumping the gun a little bit. I'm probably going to offer around 5 years. I would want Bunting here about as long as Connor Garland. I wouldn't give him the exact same money as Connor Garland. I'm thinking maybe somewhere in the $2 to $3 million a year, unless you want to go for a bridge deal where he's probably getting about 2, because when you look at how well he was playing, how well he was scoring, remember, at one point throughout the season last year, for one entire month, Michael Bunting was a better scorer than Nathan MacKinnon. I know he's not going to be a Nathan MacKinnon. I'm just saying he can probably be, for throughout a full season, about a 20, maybe even a 25 goal scorer, depending on if he stays healthy, who you're playing him with. I think there is a pretty decent 20 goal scorer right there. I know I could be jumping the gun. A lot of people might think that, but I think that's kind of where I'm going there because I would want to keep Michael Bunting here. Let's go ahead and skip ahead to the free agents that I would have my eye on. I went ahead and just got a list of them right now. So there are 4. First and foremost, Dougie Hamilton was given permission by Carolina to go talk to other teams. This one is a long shot, but with Yarmelson and Goligoski getting off the books, that's about $9.5 million right there. If I'm Armstrong, I'm calling Hamilton's agent and I'm saying, how about, 5 years at $7 million a year? What's the worst he's going to say? No. He's a very good top 4 defender, probably a top pairing defender. 55 game played, 10 goals, 32 assists, 52 points last year. Damn near you're a point per game guy, you can use that, a good right-handed shot. I think he's actually pretty decent two-way, but he's predominantly going to be your offensive defenseman. Imagine him with JAKOB CHYCHUN. I just want to throw it out there for a second. You thought about it? Of course I would throw the money at him. Anyway, the next one, this is the next one I would really, really want to go for. Eric Staal. You're going to need good, solid leadership in your bottom six. You're going to be kind of missing that going into next season. I would try to get Eric Staal on about a 2-year contract. I'm not sure where the money would be for him. I would assume somewhere in the $1 or $2 million a year, mainly because he is starting to decline. 53 games, 5 goals, 8 assists, 13 points. I don't know if you'd be paying a little bit more than normal because he's Eric Staal, but I'd go for that because of the leadership, especially since Arizona's probably going to be getting a little bit younger with some of the veterans leaving. It's always good to have another leader somewhere in the bottom six. This next one, I'm not entirely sure how realistic it would be, but I would love for them to go after this guy as a second line center. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 52 games played, 16 goals, 19 assists, 35 points last year. He's a very good middle six, definitely a second line center type guy. Arizona could always use better center depth, especially with a guy like Brassard, who was supposed to be more like a third line center, but if you can upgrade that position, I have no idea what you'd give him though, because he's probably going to want much bigger money. I have no idea how Arizona would free up all the cap space. Obviously, if I was Armstrong, I'm going after Hamilton the most in this offseason, but let's say you don't end up doing that, maybe you can try to get Nugent-Hopkins for somewhere around $7 million a year, but I don't really 100% know. I'm just saying I would love for them to go after him and try to see if you can have that be your second line center. Then finally, this would be a pretty solid third line center in my opinion if they can get after him, and maybe don't go after an Eric Staal type. You want to stay a little bit younger than Staal. Ryan Dzingel, 40 games played last year, 8 goals, 5 assists, 13 points. Not exactly a scoring powerhouse, but I think he's a pretty good third line center. You can also move him over to the wing, so you have a little bit of options you can go with there. Maybe play him with Pitlick. Maybe you can play him with Johan Larsson and Pitlick as the wing. So you have a couple of things you could do there if you wanted to go after him. And I think that would be a pretty decent get if they got him and maybe Dougie Hamilton. Just saying. But anyway, if I was GM Bill Armstrong, I would be going after Hamilton. I would be going after Dzingel, or especially Staal, then Dzingel if Staal didn't end up going through. I wanted to throw Nugent-Hopkins because Arizona could always use another center. So obviously, if you got someone that's readily available, if he doesn't end up extending his contract with Edmonton, I would at least give a call. What's the worst case scenario? You don't get Hamilton or Hopkins, and you can probably go after Dzingel or Staal. All I'm saying is that at least if you're going to pretend you're going to try to build a contending team, at the very least, call some contending players. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. I'm going to go ahead and bring it back to Nordic. Thank you once again for allowing me onto your show. And here you go.
I'd like to thank Matt for saying yes to coming onto my channel. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, if you guys want to go subscribe to him down below, his channel will be the very first thing that pops up. Not only does he do Coyotes content, he also does Diamondbacks, Cardinals, generally all Arizona content, including the Phoenix Suns. What a run they're having right now in the conference finals. You got Nerdy97 behind your back. So thank you all for watching and for all your support on the channel. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know down below. I'll answer them. If you have any questions for Matt, leave them down below as well, because I'm sure he'll be looking down in this comment section too. So yeah, thank you for watching and for all your support, and I will see you guys in the next video.